We're back with another video, but before we dive into today's topic, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated with all the latest tea. Now let's talk about Megan Thee Stallion, the rapper who, as we all know, got completely snubbed at the Grammys. Recently, she dropped her track Whenever, but unfortunately, it didn't make much noise on the charts. So yeah, that one's definitely not landing a Grammy nomination. But let's rewind a bit. Remember last year? Megan released Act 1 and Act 2. Those albums had songs like Mushui and Piss. And guess what? Those didn't get nominated either. Now here's where things get a little spicy. Word is, behind the scenes, Megan allegedly feels that Cardi B gets special treatment. She's saying that whenever Cardi drops a song, it somehow ends up nominated, but when she releases new music, nothing. And it's not like she's been quiet. Megan dropped 2 full projects last year and still came up empty-handed when the Grammy nominations came around. Meanwhile, Glorilla got a nomination. And Cardi? She released Outside and her upcoming album Am I Ugly? Which, by the way, isn't eligible for this year's Grammys, but will qualify for the 2027 awards. Still, Megan's not happy. She's looking at Cardi and thinking, how does she keep getting nominated? Last year, Cardi was recognized for Dr. Miami, and now again for Outside. Megan's reportedly been telling people that the Grammys just favor Cardi B, but here's the reality. Cardi's songs go top 10, and that's what the Grammys look at. Megan's last track, Whenever, didn't perform well. And honestly, her new release Love Girl doesn't sound like a major hit either, at least not yet. Meanwhile, Cardi B continues to dominate the mainstream, and that's what keeps her name on those nomination lists. You know what's funny? The same pattern keeps repeating, just like Doja, who hit the top 10 with Anxiety and got nominated. Or Glorilla, whose track TGIF landed somewhere around the top 15 or top 20. And guess what? She's up for nominations too. That's just how it goes. Chart success plays a big role when it comes to the Grammys. Sure, there are times when an artist can get nominated without hitting the top of the charts, but most of the time, numbers do matter. Now here's the problem with Megan Thee Stallion. People are saying her recent music just doesn't hit the same. It's catchy, yeah, but some folks are calling it poo-poo shorts kind of music, meaning it's not really deep or lyrical. When you compare that to artists like The Clips, JID, or Kendrick Lamar, the difference is huge. Those artists are known for their lyrical storytelling and complex bars. Even if their songs don't always dominate the charts, their artistry earns them nominations. But if your music revolves around lines like, my man, my man, my man, or coochie, coochie, the Grammy Committee just isn't going to take it seriously. And that's the kind of sound Megan's been putting out lately. Fun and catchy, sure, but not something that's shaking the industry. So when Cardi B's Outside got nominated, it wasn't really a surprise. Cardi's songs chart high, she's got mainstream appeal, and people are constantly streaming her music. Remember, Anxiety hit the top 10 too. And even though it wasn't exactly lyrical, it still got recognized because of its success. That's why it's confusing when Megan feels some type of way about Cardi getting nominations. Because if you look at the numbers, it makes sense. Now here's where it gets a little messy. Some people believe that Megan only pretends to like Cardi publicly. Behind the scenes, she's allegedly been talking a lot of junk about her. But the twist? Cardi doesn't really care. Because at the end of the day, they've got a common enemy, Nicki Minaj. So now let's talk about what's been happening with Offset, because fans are clowning him too. On October 12, 2025, Offset made a post for Recording Academy consideration, basically putting forward his track Key Bodies featuring JID for Grammy attention. But guess what? It didn't get a single nomination. Ouch. And that's where the shade allegedly started. Fans are convinced that Cardi B threw a little subliminal jab after the nominations dropped. She reposted a message saying, "All I had was $16 and a dream," right around the same time she was celebrating her Outside nomination. Coincidence? Maybe, but fans definitely didn't see it that way. She also shared another post, proudly announcing that Cardi B has now extended her record as the most nominated female rapper ever in the Best Rap Performance category, with a total of 6 nominations. That's a huge milestone. But of course, people couldn't help but notice that her timing and captions might have been a little too perfect. Some took it as subtle shade toward Offset, and maybe even toward other female rappers still waiting for their nominations. But it doesn't end there. Cardi's album I Am Delusional just made history. It became the first female rap album since Invasion of Privacy to debut at #1 on Billboard and earn a Grammy nomination in the same year. That's major, whether you love her or not. Now here's my personal take. Cardi definitely earned that outside nomination because the song went top 10, no doubt about it. But will she actually win? Honestly, I don't think so. I'd be shocked if she did. The only way she's walking away with that trophy is if Titanic Records cuts the check. And let's be real, I don't see that happening this year. If we're talking about who deserves Best Rap Performance, I'd say the category belongs to the Clips, Doja, or Kendrick Lamar, period. Let's be honest, the Grammys didn't nominate many female rappers this time. Only Doja, Glorilla, and Cardi B got nods, and Doja and Glorilla both received multiple nominations. Cardi? Not so much. Looking ahead to next year, I can definitely see Cardi B getting nominated again, but she's going to face some serious competition. Especially if Doja drops her next project. The Grammys absolutely love TDE. They've always supported artists like Doja, Kendrick, and SZA. So if Doja's album actually releases next year, I honestly don't see Cardi B beating her in any major category. No shade, just facts. All right, let's move on to the next topic because this one has everyone talking. So, allegedly, and I'm saying allegedly, Queen Bey was spotted at Brandy, Monica and Kelly's The Boy Is Mine tour last night in LA. Now, reports say there are pictures on the way, but nothing official has dropped just yet. Still, fans are already buzzing. Here's my thing, I love Beyonce, okay? She's an icon, no one's denying that. But sometimes, I feel like her support for Kelly Rowland doesn't always come through the way it should. Like, you showed up at your best friend's tour and didn't perform. That's what's confusing. Kelly hasn't toured in years, and this was supposed to be a huge moment for her. She doesn't even have much new music out right now, so this tour was a big comeback. And Beyonce was there. But didn't hop on stage to sing Survivor or Say My Name or anything? Come on now, because let's be real. When Beyonce goes on tour, Kelly and Michelle always show up for her. They've done it countless times. Remember Coachella? Destiny's Child reunited on stage, and it was iconic. They've supported her again on the Renaissance tour and even during the Cowboy Carter era. Every time Beyonce's got a big moment, Kelly and Michelle are right there, so it kind of feels one-sided, doesn't it? Like Beyonce wants to show just enough support for Kelly to look good, but not too much. Almost like, I'll cheer you on from backstage, but I'm not stepping into your spotlight. And that's why a lot of fans are calling it out. It just feels fake. Because if you're really best friends and your girl's having her big night after all these years, wouldn't you pop out, even just for one song? Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think Beyonce's hating on Kelly. I mean, let's be honest, she's Beyonce. But it does feel like there's this weird energy of, I'll support you. Just not too loudly. Like she's always keeping that little bit of distance, watching from the shadows instead of standing beside her on stage. I don't know, y'all. It's giving backstage love, not real love. You know what? I gotta be honest here. Beyonce, girl, you really gotta do more. Because if Kelly Rowland is truly your best friend, then show it. Pop out for her the way she pops out for you. That's what real support looks like. Anyway, moving on, this next part is actually a huge W for the girls. Destiny's Child just made history by becoming the first girl group ever to have every single member nominated for a Grammy for their solo work. That's right. Michelle Williams officially received a nomination for Best Musical Theater Album for Death Becomes Her. Major congratulations to Michelle. That's iconic. But now, I'm gonna need Camel Face, yeah, you know who I'm talking about, to start pulling some strings. If Beyonce's really his queen, then he can definitely make a few calls to make sure Michelle gets that Grammy win. I mean, he's done it before. Let's be honest, he had no problem pulling strings for Thee Stallion, who ended up with 3 Grammys after that collab with Beyonce, even though a lot of folks felt she didn't really deserve all 3. So yeah, it's time to spread that energy around. Help Michelle the same way. She's been working hard, staying in her lane, doing something different in musical theater, and she deserves to be recognized. So mark my words, come 2026, I want to see Michelle Williams walking away with that Grammy in her hand. Because if strings can be pulled for others, they can definitely be pulled for her. Period. All right, let's keep it moving because this next topic has the internet talking. So reports just came out listing the rappers with the most Grammy nominations in history. And honestly, the numbers are wild, sitting right at the top. We've got Camel Face with a whopping 89 Grammy nominations. Like, for what? Because honestly, I don't even understand how he managed to rack up that many. But then again, When you're a gatekeeper in the industry, and let's be real, he is one, you automatically get that special treatment. Doors just open for you that stay closed for everyone else. Then there's Clown Gay, who has 76 nominations. And honestly, nobody's really pressed about that anymore. We've seen enough antics to last a lifetime. Moving on, but here's where it gets interesting. The current king of rap has 66 Grammy nominations already. And if things keep going the way they are, he's absolutely going to surpass Clown Gay. Maybe not Camel Face just yet, because that man's got decades of nominations stacked up, but give it time. The new generation is catching up fast. So yeah, that's where things stand right now in Grammy land. But what do you guys think? Do these nominations really reflect talent? Or is it just about industry power and connections at this point? Let me know in the comments, because I know y'all have opinions on this one. Now let's give a huge congratulations to JT, because sis is out here winning. She didn't just make the charts, she hit #1 on iTunes in the hip-hop category. Not #2, not #3, but #1. And if that wasn't enough, she even broke into the top 40 overall across all genres on iTunes. That's a massive accomplishment, especially for an independent female rapper doing her own thing. And honestly, I feel like this might just be the moment for JT. This song could easily turn into a full-blown hit if it keeps building momentum. But let's be real. The only thing that ever seems to hold her back is the way people underestimate her. Because let's face it, JT doesn't get the credit she deserves. A lot of folks count her out for 2 big reasons. 1, because she's dark-skinned, and 2, because she's not part of that Cardi B Thee Stallion alliance. You already know how that goes. The fan bases behind those two can be loud and messy, and they love to throw shade at JT every chance they get. But here's the truth. JT's got real talent. Her pen game, her flow, her style, it's all there. She consistently drops bops, but people just don't give her the same recognition. And that needs to change, because she's proving time and time again that she can hold her own without relying on anyone's cosign. So yeah, big props to JT for this win. She's climbing on her own terms, and this could be the start of something huge. All right, moving on from that. This next one got a lot of people heated online. Fans are seriously upset that The Weeknd received 0 nominations at this year's Scammys. Yep, we're calling it that, because at this point, that's exactly what it feels like. His latest album, Hurry Up Tomorrow, debuted straight at #1, selling nearly 500,000 units in its first week. That's huge. So how does an artist with that kind of success get completely snubbed? It's not adding up. And honestly, he's not the only one who got done dirty this year. Low-key, even Playboy bottom busy Cardi got snubbed too. Like, how did he not get a single nomination either? Very interesting, right? Seems like the bottom feeders, as some people call them, are all being counted out, except for Tyler Bottom Bussesy, the creator. He's still in the Grammys' good graces, apparently. But back to The Weeknd. There's some serious behind-the-scenes tension here. Word is the Scammys still aren't too happy with The Weeknd or Nicki Minaj, and that's why both of them are being iced out. Now we already know Nicki submitted Pink Friday 2 for consideration. But let's be honest, if the Grammys are still holding grudges, she might not see a single nomination when her next project drops. The politics run deep. Here's the real tea, though. The reason The Weeknd and the Grammys fell out again comes down to money and favoritism. Remember when they snubbed him for After Hours and then tried to apologize later? Yeah, apparently that truce didn't last. What a lot of people don't realize is that Grammy voting isn't as pure as they make it seem. The so-called committee, or as people like to call it, the Scammy Committee, can be influenced. Some of them get paid off by label executives or even artists themselves. And it's not always about cash, sometimes it's perks. We're talking free concert tickets, exclusive early access to unreleased music, or even front row seats to major shows by artists like Queen Bey or Queen T. So when you look at how things play out every year, it's kind of clear it's not always about talent. Sometimes it's about who you're connected to and what you're willing to offer behind the scenes. Now here's where things get real interesting, y'all. See, the so-called Scammy Committee loves their perks. They're not just sitting around judging music, they want access. So sometimes it's like, hey, we got exclusive behind-the-scenes privileges with these celebrities. They deserve a nomination. You scratch their back, they'll scratch yours. That's how the game works. But here's the thing. The Weeknd doesn't play those games. He's not about that fake industry stuff. He doesn't wine and dine these committee members or invite them to listen to his album before it drops. He's focused on the art, not the politics. Meanwhile, artists like Queen Taylor, Sabrina, Harry Styles, Queen Bey, Michelle Polone, and even Kendrick Lamar, they do play the game. They'll invite members of the committee to private listening sessions, offer free concert tickets, maybe even throw in backstage passes or special access for their kids. Like, oh, your daughter wants to meet Taylor? No problem. That kind of thing goes a long way in Grammy land. But The Weeknd? Nah. He didn't do any of that with his album Hurry Up Tomorrow. He didn't let the committee hear it early, and he sure didn't hand out VIP passes. And to make things worse, at least from their perspective, he's been on tour for nearly 2 years and never once invited any of them to his shows. So now, the Scammy insiders feel like he doesn't show them enough love, like he's too good for the politics. And since they like being flattered and bought, they're not exactly showing him love back. They want artists to kiss their rings, play the game, and give them those little thank you gestures. But since The Weeknd refuses to do that, no nominations, period. And honestly, no shade, but that's the game. The industry runs on relationships and rewards. If you don't play along, you get left out, even if your music is top tier. So yeah, as unfair as it is in a twisted way, it's kind of The Weeknd's fault too, because he knows exactly how this business moves. Now let's talk about Nicki Minaj, because her situation with the Grammys, is just as messy as The Weeknd's. So here's what's been going down. The Recording Academy, yep, the same people who hand out those golden trophies, actually offered Nicki a seat on their Grammy board a few months back. But guess what? She turned it down. If you remember, she even talked about it publicly around July, during one of her Spaces sessions. She explained how the Academy had reached out, but she declined because of the way they've treated her in the past, all those Grammy snubs that fans still talk about to this day. Now, word on the street is that Camelface, yep, him again, allegedly wasn't too happy about the idea of Nicki joining the board in the first place. But regardless, the Academy did make that offer. Nicki just decided to walk away from it, and ever since then, the Grammys haven't exactly been showing her any love. From what's being said, the Academy feels like until Nicki Minaj is willing to make amends and have a real conversation with them, she's not getting any nominations. None. Now, to be fair, Nicki didn't really release much new music this year, or even last year. But let's not forget, her album Pink Friday 2 was officially submitted for Grammy consideration. And people can say, oh, the label probably did that, but let's be real. Nothing gets submitted without Nicki's approval. She had to sign off on that, and still, they snubbed her completely. See, that's the pattern. The Weeknd gets iced out because he won't play their game, and Nicki's in the same boat. The committee doesn't just want good music. They want you to kiss the ring. They want The Weeknd to sweeten them up with VIP treatment. And they want Nicki to humble herself, have a sit-down, and basically make peace. Because if you want those Grammy nominations, they expect you to play the game. Now, do I think Nicki even cares anymore? Honestly, she used to. There was a time when a Grammy meant everything to her, and she made that clear over the years. But at this point, I don't think it's her top priority anymore. She's got her legacy, her fan base, her influence, with or without that golden trophy. And there you have it. Another wild week in the world of music, drama, and Grammy games. From The Weeknd's snub to Nicki's silent stand, one thing's clear. In this industry, talent isn't always enough. You gotta play the game. But hey, what do you think? Are the Grammys still about music or just about politics and power? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you never miss the tea. Until next time, stay real and stay tuned.